Hello, YouTube. If you are just finding me, welcome. My name is Jessie. Welcome to my channel. If we've met before, welcome back. I have a really exciting video to share with you today. If you are watching this in June 2023, then this is falling under the energy theme of Tune In. If you're watching this outside of June 2023, no worries. This is still going to be applicable. This video is timeless, and if you're finding it right now, then it's for a reason. So welcome to this video. If you are a part of my monthly energy readings, then you know that the videos that I share throughout the month are going to be under this energetic theme. And I'm excited about this video because it wasn't actually something that, I knew was going to happen and that I had planned on talking about. It was just such a beautiful synchronicity, and I felt like the energy of this experience was so potent that I wanted to put some of that out there into the world. For me personally, it reignited my faith, my connection with Source. It reignited why I do the work that I do. If you are someone who is in service in whatever way that looks like for you, it can be a lot. It can feel really heavy, and as a collective, we're just moving through some really heavy energy at the moment. And so sometimes we need to feel that connection. And it's funny because this month's energy theme is Tune In, and for me that's really about connecting with my own inner source, connecting to my higher self. And Spirit was actually giving me exactly what I needed this day without me even knowing it. So I want to walk you through the day. I want to walk you through the synchronicities and hope that it helps create aha moments for you, helps you connect to this month's energy theme, all of the things. You never know the medicine that Source is going to give you. Yes. So I'm going to walk you through the day. And you might have already heard this story because I shared it on my TikTok. I also shared it on my Instagram. But there were so many more synchronicities packed into this day that I wanted to add on to it. Because again, this is, I'm not the only one who's experiencing this. We are all experiencing this. And if we are able to tune in, then we start to notice it. So how I like to start my morning is I like to listen to Abraham Hicks. And if you're someone who's listened to Abraham Hicks and you know the story that Abraham talks about with blue glass. So if you're not familiar with Abraham Hicks, Abraham is a consciousness that a lovely woman named Esther channels. And I've heard this story. I've heard Abraham talk about this story many times, but it came on this particular morning. And I was like, oh, I've heard this a few times, but for whatever reason, I felt called to listen to it again. So I did. So basically the story is that back in the day, Esther used to do one-on-one phone calls with people, sort of like guidance, spiritual coaching. I'm not sure what term she used, but sort of in that realm. And this woman was calling Abraham and Esther to talk to Abraham. And, they were wanting help in manifesting some things. And basically Abraham was guiding them to focusing on things that this person had no, how do I want to say this? They weren't blocking themselves around this subject. Sometimes when we really strongly desire things, but we have blocks around them, we have fears, we want to control it. We've had past experiences where it hasn't worked out in the past. And so that's currently in our energetic vibration. And we're really blocking ourselves from actually receiving, because the universe always wants to give us what we want, but we can block ourselves. So what Abraham was trying to do was get this person to focus their energy on things that they had no energetic blockages around, no energetic buildup around, in order to sort of calm and clear their vibration, kind of bring them back down. And one of the things that Abraham wanted to talk to this person about was blue glass. So they're having them talk about blue glass, focusing on blue glass. What does it look like? All of those certain things. And they had them talk about butterflies. Then they had them talk about feathers. And this person, they just weren't in the space to receive it, right? It just wasn't in the alignment at the moment. So they ended up hanging up. And Esther gets off the call. She starts to go to lunch with her husband and completely forgets about this. Sometimes, as a channeler, you don't really necessarily remember what you channeled because you're just in this different state. And so, once you leave that session, it kind of just evades your mind. So that's what happened to Esther. And Esther had no sort of energetic buildup. She had no expectations. She had no fears around all of these certain subjects that Abraham was guiding them to talk about. And so as Esther goes out to lunch, she intuitively decides to go into this store, just was tuning in, was following her intuition. And in the back of the store was blue glass. Esther still didn't think anything of it, was just going through the store, enjoying it. After lunch, she was walking around, and then all of these butterflies started to surround her and fly around her. And sorry if I'm butchering this story, but I'm doing my best to say it in a way that I remember. And then after all the butterflies swarm her, this little boy starts running up to her and hands her a feather. And then it clicks, and Esther, like, oh my gosh, all of this stuff was in my vibration. I had just been speaking about it, but I had no energetic buildup. I had no energetic attachment to it. It was just like a neutral subject for me. And so look at how easy she was able to manifest that. Okay, so keep that story in mind. So I was listening to that, and I've had experiences where I've been talking about something, I've been focusing on something, and I have no sort of energetic attachment to it, and it very quickly manifests for me. So holding on to that. And then afterwards, I like to make my morning matcha, and I was reading a chapter from Outrageous Openness, which is something that I recommended. I believe it was in the April or May newsletter. I absolutely love this book by Tosha Silver. And I stumbled upon this mantra that I really, really loved. And it was, let all who need me find me. So I was putting hand on heart, was closing my eyes, was really tuning into how that energy feels. I even wrote it down in my planner. There's a little section where you can write down an intention. And so sometimes I'll write mantras in there. So I wrote that down. So keep in mind, all of this was in my energetic vibration, right? And some things I had a little bit more momentum, a little bit more expectations around. Other things I did not. So I went through my day, and to be completely honest with you, this was a hard day. It was a really hard day. I was up in my head. I was feeling all of the fears, all of the things that I'm working through right now was really up to the surface. So it was a lot. There was a lot building up within me. And, was doing my best to hold my faith, ground down in, tune in, meditate, all the things, but it was just like trigger after trigger that day, so much that it actually led me to go on a run that evening. And I am really not a runner at this point. I have been in my past. Running was something that before I started building my connection with my emotions, my emotional intelligence, before I dived into my spiritual practice, all of that, running was really like that safe space for me. And, I've had injuries, all of the things. So it's just not really something that I do as much anymore, although I am kind of playing with the idea of maybe running more. Anyway, story for another time. But decided to go on a run. Wanted to go on a run by the water because my intention this week is to get outside every day and tune in with nature. So decided to go for a run by the water, go on my run, was processing all of the things, was moving through the energy, was tuning in. And so coming back to that blue glass story, before I had left for my run, my boyfriend had asked me, hey, can you get some plastic water bottles? We have contractors working on our house right now, and don't even get me started on the plastic water bottle thing. I know, it's a thing. Been trying not to use them. It's a thing. But so that was in my vibration, right? Like, hey, when you're done with your run, can you go get these water bottles? And I had, no sort of attachment to these water bottles, but they were just something that was in my vibration. And what was so interesting was as I was going on my run, I saw so many water bottles, plastic water bottles, so many of them. And then I heard Abraham in my head. And Abraham reminded me of the blue glass story of like, this is something that is just in your vibration. You have no energetic attachment to it. And look at how easy it comes to you. So that was in my mind. After my run, I go sit down on the beach. And as I'm walking to find my spot, I notice this woman and I noticed her energy and I was like, oh, this is someone that I feel energetically aligned with. Like, I feel like I would really enjoy this person. Don't think much more of it. I go sit down, I meditate, get my feet in the sand. I'm tuning in all the things. And then as I come out of my meditation, I felt so strongly pulled towards this woman. I was like, you know what, Source, like, that, you know, I've had a hard day. I just want to be here with you. I don't want to be sharing messages for anyone. I'm also someone who does not like to share messages with someone unprovoked. For me, it just feels very invasive. If someone, you know, if I'm doing a reading with someone or it's a loved one and it feels, you know, like the message needs to come through, there's certain circumstances where I will do it, right? But it's very rarely that I will feel aligned with doing it in public, because that's just my personal sort of, I don't know, that's just kind of how I feel about it personally. That's my thing. Anyways, so I was really fighting it. I was really resisting it. And I was just getting the same message over and over again. It was very quick and concise. And I was sort of struggling with it. I was like, okay, is this just one of those moments where I'm kind of tuning into someone's energy because their energy is just very strong right now? Or is this something that I'm intuitively feeling called to go do? And I was like, you know what? I'm just not in this space. I don't really feel like opening up to a stranger and being vulnerable in this way of like, hey, I have these gifts. This is the message that I'm getting for you. So I get up and I start walking towards my car. And I looked down and right in front of my feet is a plastic water bottle. I was like, ugh, you got me, Source. You got me. Okay, I'm going to do it. So I'm halfway to my car at this point. And I turn and walk around and I walk up to this woman and I say, excuse me, I don't want to bother you, but I'm a psychic medium and I'm getting a really strong message for you. She just looks at me and she goes, okay, come sit down. And if you happen to be watching this and this was you, I really hope that you don't mind me sharing this moment. Just want to say that it struck me so much. I just really wanted to share it because it was beautiful. So I hope you don't mind me sharing this. So I go sit down and she's like, okay, what's the message that you have for me? It's like, honestly, the only thing that is coming through for you is your prayers are being answered. That's all I'm hearing is your prayers are being answered. And she just broke down, sobbing. And you could just feel the potency of that moment for her. You could feel the emotion. I mean, I could feel it 10, I don't know how far it was, 10 feet away, maybe more, who knows. I could feel the potency of her energy and that she was in this energetic vibration of, how do I want to say this? You know, the blue glass, her prayers were so strongly in her vibration that I picked up on that. And just the synchronicity of that moment of like, it was so strong in her vibration that I picked up on that. I was in energetic resonance with her because I was also at the beach wanting my prayers to be answered too. And so we were aligned, we were synced in that moment. And just how immediate on her end, me coming up and saying that your prayers are being answered, because what she said next is, oh my gosh, I've been sitting here on the beach praying. I've been sitting on the beach praying. And then you walk up to me and share with me the message that you're getting. Just again to, you know, to show you the power that we have, the connection that we have. And for me, I didn't even remember that I had said that mantra, let all who need me find me, and how potent that felt for me. And that I needed her just as much as she needed me, because again, when you do this work and you're in service with Source in whatever way, especially in these domains where you're doing energetic work and there's such a resistance in the world of the energetic work and how real it is and how real all of these spiritual practices are. You know, we're so focused on the tangible and that things can only be real when they're tangible, that sometimes that can get in your head, even if you believe in this stuff, even if you've seen it in, you know, in real life, you have these moments. It's still such a beautiful reminder, and Source knew that that was exactly what I was needing. That was the way that my prayers were being answered in that moment, because I really just wanted to be in service. I really wanted to be tuned in with my Source, and that was how Source knew that I needed that. I needed that reinvigoration. I needed to find that spark again of like, okay, this is what I'm meant to do. There's no greater feeling to when I can share that with someone and feel just that emotional connection, feel their needs being met so deeply. I mean, it's even hard for me to find words to accurately describe that moment, but it was beautiful. Yeah. Um I hope that this was as potent for you as it was for me. And you know, even when we're going through our day and we're experiencing the opposite of what we're intending for, we're deeply in contrast, to use Abraham's words. Source is still giving us exactly what we need. I mean, I had a day so heavily full of contrast that it caused me to do something that I wouldn't normally do. It caused me to do some self-care in something that I don't normally do, aka go on a run, which led me to having this interaction with this beautiful woman, and for us both to get exactly what we needed. I mean, just the amount of pieces of the puzzle that needed to fall into place in order for that to actually occur is amazing. And it just shows you this is all real. You're not making this up. So I hope this filled your heart, filled your cup as much as it did for me. And if this video resonated with you and you feel like it might resonate with someone else in your life, I love when you share my work. I absolutely love it. I have a bunch of other videos on my page. I'm adding more and more to the best of my abilities every week. And thank you for being here. I'm sending you love.